du mir irgendwie ein Zeichen geben, falls Rania doch noch rechtzeitig reinkommt oder wann Rania... Okay, also irgendwie von der ersten sitzt sie ziemlich vorne. Okay, super. Danke. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Marcel Geer. I'm incredibly happy to welcome you all to this year's Egypt Investment Outlook session. And what a great moment then to do it when we actually have the very first EBRD annual meeting in Africa here in very, very sunny Marrakesh. So I'm super happy to have you all here, and thanks to technology, a lot of our Egyptian friends, colleagues, partners in the public and the private sector will be here online. So I hope we can have a lively debate between the audience here, the audience in Egypt, our partners, as well as the international audience that can now connect to us online through all these mediums. I will also explain the slido.com, which is the page where you can then later post your questions, whether you are online or whether you're in the room, hashtag 9170000, and then we'll make sure that we have also all of your questions here. So while I'm sitting here alone, I'm actually hopeful that we're all here together and looking at incredible opportunities and challenges given these turbulent times that Egypt is facing, but how the private sector and the public sector and the international community can pull together to come forward in a year where we have also COP27, the second COP in the southern and eastern Mediterranean region after Morocco. So we really truly have an African COP in November in Sharm el-Sheikh, and we all want to work towards a green transition investments for Egypt, in Egypt with partners this year in 2022. So a warm welcome from me. I'm Heike Harmgart. I'm the Managing Director for the Southern and Eastern Mediterranean region. And I'm here with an exciting panel that covers a lot of the areas of green investments. So we have His Excellency Engineer Yahya Zahi. I hope we have him. Perfect. Engineer Yahya, so good to see you on screen. So Yahya is not only a good friend of the EBRD, but actually most importantly, he is the chairman of one of the most exciting economic zones in Egypt, the Suez Economic Canal Zone. He's responsible for the management and operation of 461 square kilometers of industrial and logistical areas, 6 seaports alongside the banks of the Suez Canal, aiming to transform this area alongside the banks to world-class logistics hub, but also a green investment hub. And we will speak about, the sexiest topic on the planet, green hydrogen, a bit later on. So great to have Yahya, Engineer Yahya, so great to have you with us. And then we do have an international investor that has been on the journey with the solar revolution in Egypt since day one. Thorsten Bernsten, the EVP Power Production, Scatec. Thank you so much. You are part of the executive management from Scatec, and Scatec is really not only an international investor that's there from day one, but also who is now having one of the most interesting and innovative agendas on project bonds, also hydrogen. So we're going to talk a lot more about this, but you've been with the company since 2008 and the CFO until 2014. And since then you have your current position where you're responsible for the global portfolio and operating the power plants. So great to have you with us. And then we have Dalia Wahbe, who is Hassan Alam's Deputy CEO and Chief Investment Officer, who joined this company, this Egyptian company, but it's a global player on the infrastructure scene, and looking for developing innovative logistics, infrastructure projects across the MENA region, but also for Africa. And I'm even super happy. I know that actually our own governor, EBRD's governor, Dr. Rania Al-Mashad, is able to join us now. She had a meeting with the president, so I'm so glad that it worked out. Timing is always of the essence, but I'm so happy to have you with us because you are really the driver of EBRD's partnership and also making sure the dialogue between the public and the private sector is as efficient as possible. So I'm super thrilled that we have you already with us now. And so actually, without further ado, I will also give you the floor, Dr. Rania, for your welcoming remarks to kick us off in this exciting investment outlook session here in Marrakesh. I tell you, it's as hot here as it is in Egypt. But looking forward to your welcoming words and then a lively discussion going forward. Over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Heike, and I want to greet everyone who's in the room. I see it's a full room. I wish I was there in person, but unfortunately have a travel commitment tomorrow. The name of the session is very telling, and also it's fantastic that we have Engineer Yahya with us and the CEO of Scatec. Again, a testament of the efforts that the Egyptian government is doing to be able to push forward a green, inclusive, and digital economy. Heike, you mentioned our partnership. EBRD is one of the key partners for Egypt, and it's key partner not just in terms of financing, but in terms of impact and outreach with the private sector. Unlike many other IFIs, private sector with EBRD is close to 74% across different types of projects. Again, the reach with respect to the green component is quite significant. All of you are aware that Egypt is going to be hosting COP27 in November. Holding or being at the realm of this from a global perspective is very, very important for us, but also showing nationally what the country is doing in order to push the green agenda is something that we take very seriously. And many efforts have been done over the past period. Let me mention two things, and that would open for the discussion with the participants. Again, in 2015, there was the integrated energy strategy that was launched to basically very clearly put KPIs for our renewable mix or the energy mix. Something significant was that the government had to do structural reforms to be able to invite the private sector. And moving forward on that, green hydrogen comes in as one of the key themes that is taking place most recently. Heike, you attended some of the MOUs that were signed in cabinet. Scatec was able also to issue a bond with several IFIs. They're a testament of the business environment in Egypt and the opportunities that are there to basically push for a promising future. So I look forward to this session. I know Engineer Yahya is going to be providing an outlook and a map of what the Suez Canal Zone wants to do and is welcoming all investors to be able to push an agenda of action, an agenda of localizing industrialization and the incentives that are there. Scatec with what they are doing currently and their plans, very, very important to shed light on why they have chosen Egypt, what do they see as incentives, and how this project is going forward. And of course, Dalia from Hassan Alam. Hassan Alam has very important projects in the country and is also one of the partners with EBRD. So again, what we want to show here is action, tangible projects with outcomes. The government has a vision. Private sector engagement is is one of the top priorities. And the president just last week, 2 weeks ago, mentioned very clearly the vision going forward in terms of availing, doing IPOs and providing a more conducive environment for private sector engagement. So this investment outlook comes at a very, very critical time. And I look forward to hearing the discussion and also seeing how we can partner with all of you going forward. Thank you so much, Heike, and I look forward to hearing everybody's intervention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rania, for these inspiring, welcoming remarks. And I take away, we're talking about action today, about tangible projects, about real investment opportunities in Egypt, in particular, of course, in the green transition for the country that has also been a pioneer on one of the largest solar plants in the continent. And so let me go straight actually to Engineer Yahya. So the SC zone is strategically located next to 10% of total global trade routes, and its proximity to Europe makes it a location to attract value-added services and industrial catering to one of the world's largest global markets. So you have an ambitious plan for development of the SC zone, long-term projects that require infrastructure, but also foreign and domestic investments. So maybe you can give us a glimpse of where you are in the zone in terms of readiness, what is there in terms of infrastructure, governance processes. So what are investors that are looking for opportunities in this trading hub to invest? What will they see? And what are you targeting in terms of global competitive logistics and manufacturing zone? So Engineer Yahya, over to you.
Well, thank you very much. It's really a pleasure to be part of this very exciting panel. I am sorry that I'm not there in person. I would have loved to be there, but for other commitments, I made sure that I take place in this session. I'm also honored to be in this session with Her Excellency the Minister, Skatek and Dalia, of course. And let me go directly to your question. Yes, SC Zone enjoys a very strategic location. As you've mentioned in the beginning, it is a total area of 461 square kilometers, comprising of 6 seaports, 3 along the Mediterranean, 3 along the Gulf of Suez, in addition to 4 industrial zones, collectively 461 square kilometers around the Suez Canal itself, which qualifies the area to be a leading world-class economic hub and a preferred destination for investment. While also contributing, and this is a very important aspect of the vision, is to creation of a good quality jobs for the Egyptian people. To be able to reach this vision, the Suez Canal Economic Zone was established in 2015, and it came with a 3-phase strategic plan till 2030 and beyond. The SC Zone spent the first 5 years in preparing itself to attract local and foreign investments, and more particularly the private sector, of course, on what we believe is an ongoing process that continue as the SC Zone growth. To be able to do that, we have focused on 5 main pillars to prepare the zone for its readiness, basically setting up the ecosystem by developing the market connectivity through transport, network connectivity, and the like. Also preparing the regulatory framework, which was a very important element for and pillar for the development of the zone, and providing and keep providing always financial incentives and incentive bundles for customs and regimes and taxes and what have you, and enhancing the service level provided and let me refer here to the development that took place with EBRD on the development of the one-stop shop in phase 1, and we are currently moving now to phase 2. And finally, the cost positioning that we are providing within the economic zone. Now, not only these pillars, but it was very important to develop the infrastructure for the economic zone to keep it at and have it at a world-class level. And to be able to do that, we've worked on two different approaches. The first is how to provide the economic zone with connectivity, basically on a high level, world-class level through road networks, tunnels, railways, all around the Suez Canal, and making very great connectivity to the economic zone and all the ports that we are serving, in addition, of course, to the 6 tunnels under the Suez Canal that made the connectivity between east and west of the canal very smooth. And the second direction was within the economic zone itself, where we have invested in excess of $3 billion for preparing the zone with its required infrastructure. This is sufficient enough for the current phase, but we'll keep investing and looking forward for the next stages that we will also be needing in all different types of infrastructure needs, whether in power, whether in desalination, whether in sewage treatment. We'll keep adding these projects, and it is a huge opportunity for the private sector to be involved in this as well. This is all the beginning, the first 5 years, and starting 2020, we embarked into the second stage, which we're calling it the enabling phase, where we are now confident with the ecosystem and infrastructure availability. So we've developed our strategy that addresses this 5-year, 2020-2025, and focusing greatly on creating investment opportunities in the industrial areas, in addition to adopting industrial cluster policies and localizing a number of targeted industries and emerging industries as well, like the green fueling and the green projects that are starting to take place in the economic zone very rapidly. Out of this study and strategic study that we have done for the 5-year stage, which we're calling the enabling stage, we have identified 16 different sectors that are of the most important sectors that are to be developed in the economic zone, and definitely the green hydrogen and green ammonia and the green economy altogether is leading these sectors. In addition, there are other 16 sectors. I'm not going to go through the details, but let me call them the logistics, the data centers, the bunkering facilities, in addition to the green hydrogen, then industrial sectors of the automotive, electrical batteries, tires, casting, rolling stock, building material, pharmaceutical, pharma, active substance, and pharmaceutical projects, in addition to agribusiness, textile, and solar PVs. We have good opportunities in each and every one of these sectors. Some of them has already started with full participation with the private sector. And we are keen to merge this with the development that already took place in the infrastructure and the readiness of the zone to get into our third phase starting 2025 to really localize these industries and to become the hub for going from this location to serve the region, serve Africa, and definitely the local market as well.
Thank you so much, Engineer Yahya. You know, that's very impressive in terms of both of the actually legislative work that you have done, but also the registration, making it easier for companies to interface, the one-stop shop work that we're working with you, but also all the infrastructure and with a focus on really green infrastructure, green desalination. I think that is really preparing a ground for, you know, the next generation of logistics investors. Now I'm actually talking to one of the foremost foreign direct investors into Egypt, Thorsten Bernstein from Scatec. So you've been there since day one, since the big success story of Ben Ban, the largest solar park in Africa. But you don't stop there. You sort of recently issued a green bond, the first investment grade rated green bond in Egypt, which we are also very happy to be participating, and a powerful, innovative instrument to attract global investors that usually may shy away, sort of pension fund type of patient investors. But can you tell me, so maybe a bit looking back, what has your journey been, the experience so far of investing in Egypt, and how your company is helping to attract also this new class of investor through your example? Just talk us through a little bit your journey in investing in Egypt in Ben Ban.
Sure. Thank you, Heike. Hi, everyone. I apologize also for not being able to be in the room with you, especially since we have 10 degrees and rain here in Oslo. So I would very much like to join you in Marrakesh. Our experience of doing business in Egypt is obviously positive. I don't think you're surprised to hear that. But it's not by accident, because we don't really think about ourselves purely as an investor in Egypt, but more like a partner to Egypt as a country who was very clearly taking a lead in improving our common future and who wanted to be a change maker, just like we. I mean, that's one of our core values. So we entered the market, as you said, in 2015 on the back of the announcement of the feed-in tariff program, and we were actually the first to sign a PPA. And then after the development phase was finalized and we got into construction and we commissioned the Ben Ban projects in 2019. Our projects totaling 380 megawatts, so that was the largest capacity in the field. And this was also projects, for those of you who don't know, that were innovative in technology, in the sense that we were installing as the first project of this size bifacial solar panels, which means that we were also then gathering some of the irradiation that reflects back from the ground. So you get solar irradiation from two sides. And this was not an easy task, because it was obviously new. So I have to commend EBRD for being one of the courageous lenders in that
we gave you a bit of a hard time at the beginning.
There has, of course, been challenges. I mean, along the way for us in Egypt. I mean, there's always challenges in programs like this, but we've had a strong support from key partners such as EBRD, but also established, I think, a very strong and good relationship with Egyptian authorities, based on an understanding and respect of each other's roles in a public-private partnership like this. So whenever there's been challenges, we've been able to find good solution to those. And we've also kind of been very cautious on spending time on the local governmental level and building relationships with local communities and making sure that we spend time and resources on social projects and making sure that the broader community is also benefiting from Egypt's green transition. I think that's been really a key to success. And then, as you mentioned, on the back of the successful implementation and initial operation of the Ben Ban projects, we started discussing the possibility of refinancing the initial project debt by structuring a green investment grade green bond. And I think we started looking into this with EBRD, and again, EBRD being a key driver. That was already in the pre-COVID days. So it's been a long and challenging journey until we closed the transaction a few weeks back. But the project companies that we own together with Norfund and Africa 50 have now issued a 19-year, $335 million green project bond non-recourse, which is quite amazing. And behind that lies a highly complex and innovative structure with a climate bond certification, credit enhancement structures by MIGA and EBRD, and then a contemplated listing on the Cairo Stock Exchange. But as a result, as you said, we've been able to attract international institutional investors to participate in project finance debt in Egypt for the first time. And through that, I believe we've opened doors to a new source of funding for future green infrastructure projects. So this is really a landmark transaction that we're extremely proud of, and that has only been possible, I think, due to drive and support and foresight from key individuals in Egyptian government, in EBRD, and also in our own Scotec team that we're very proud of. So.
Absolutely. Thank you, Torsten. And I think, yeah, the word that I really picked up is partnerships, that you, I mean, to have this kind of an impact and success story, you really need partners. And I think what is also this session is about, that we don't say that everything is perfect, but in Egypt, it's actually a country where you can build partnerships. You can build partnerships for impact and for innovation with the government and with the private sector, the local private sector, but also, of course, international investors. And I think also your engagement, Torsten, also on the local community side. I mean, I've just visited also the projects that you're supporting in the Benban region. This is really impressive, so that there is really a sense of the impact that you leave, not just by the cheap electricity your bifacial panels generate, but also by the impact that you leave in the different communities and how local staff get engaged post-construction. I think that's incredibly impressive, and that shows that these partnerships are long-lasting, and that then they can evolve into something new and coming in with new innovative instruments. So I will have one round around sort of, you know, where we all are, and then a look to the future. But now let me turn actually to Dalia, Dalia Wahbu, who is with Hassan Alam Utilities, and a relatively new setup for Hassan Alam, a very experienced Egyptian global company that has infrastructure engagements across many markets through construction. But actually you, Dalia, and your team, you're building global alliances to invest in Egypt with international investors such as Almar or BP Lighthouse and other logistics investments. And maybe from a Egyptian but global company, sort of how easy is it also to partner up and to team up with global investors? And what is your motivation also for teaming up with global investors, and what's been your experience so far? Over to you, Dalia.
Thank you, Heike. Just another quick hello to everyone. Happy to be here with my fellow panelists, but also with everyone in the room. And sorry that we couldn't make it in person. So I think, I mean, Heike, I can build a lot on what was said before. So first of all, I mean, Egypt has been a destination for foreign direct investment. It's a big market. I mean, really the fundamentals are there. So and I think many people would agree that, I mean, even though it gets tricky and it's challenging, we just spoke about Benban, and but at the end, it's a market with a good track record. It's a large market in itself, and then there's certain areas where there's a clear need and also clear commitment to ramp up. So hence the how easy has it been, or to basically have those alliances? It's been workable. It's not easy, but I mean, it's if you have the fundamentals, you have the starting points. So, I mean, with Almar, Egypt has clear water shortages. There's a pipeline of possible investments, even if the timeline, things can take their time a little bit, but it's a destination market. And then there is the shorter term opportunities. So we were able to come to the market, acquire the private to private desalination company, ramp this up, and then we're working on what comes next. There's the gap and the potential, I mean, and a clear statement from the government that down the line, I mean, the shift is to the more private sector, also in the wastewater. There's the infrastructure gap. So, I mean, the fundamentals are there, so it's easier to make the case. Then comes, if you can see eye to eye and can form those partnerships in a win-win situation, and it's partially what's in it for us, but also what's in it for the partner. So for us, you kindly mentioned, I mean, Hassan Alam Utilities were the investment and development arm of Hassan Alam Holding, a group that has been operating in the country for now, we're getting, I think, close to 85 years. And it's a group that has been growing and adapting to how the market in Egypt has been evolving, but also building on the relationship that we built locally to go regional. And you mentioned we definitely are looking into other places in the Middle East, but definitely also Africa. So the idea here is we know the market, we can see the opportunity, but I mean, we're traditionally contractors as a group. We've built the infrastructure assets, we operate the infrastructure assets, but I mean, it's been more on the shorter term angle. So to go and shift into the investment and development, it was the right thing to look for partners, and partners that really have the global experience, because also this is a very competitive market. I mean, going back, everyone eyes Egypt, so we're not alone in this market. So to have the right partnerships. So it works on both ends. The market is there, the opportunity is there, and then the positioning. So Hassan Alam, we do have the local market know-how, we have the credibility, we have the network and the access, we have the trust of the partners, of the clients. And then if we partner with the best in class in the different sectors, then we're kind of having the right chance of getting into the projects we're aiming. So you've mentioned Almar, and that's where we focus on the water sector, Light Source BP, on the solar energy. We on the logistics, we're partnering with two actually regional players, and there again there's a huge gap. We're also looking for a partner that is like-minded. I mean, we're having, I mean, at HU, this is a sustainability focused investor really. So whatever we're doing, we're looking at how to make it, either if we're taking a business, how to really upgrade from a sustainability perspective, and everything that we're doing new, we would like it to be green and sustainable. So it had to be also like-minded investors who are willing to go that route and make the right commitments, whether it's financially or operationally, basically to go that route. So that's I guess in a nutshell. So basically, to sum, it's not easy, but it's doable if you have the right fundamentals. I can't hear you. So.
Has the right pipeline. So it's also, the fundamentals also include that, you know, this is a very dynamic market. There's not just one project that's very competitive, but there's really a pipeline of projects. We've seen that in the solar space, and we've seen that in many other dimensions, so that, you know, investors don't need to make these initial investments only for a single you know, innovative product, but actually looking into a pipeline of projects, because the domestic market is big, but also, as we've seen, the market is very well connected. It's very well connected within Africa, but also looking at Europe and Asia through areas such as the Suez Economic Canal Zone. So I want to have one more round of questions with my distinguished panel on, I think, the hot topic of the day, which is green hydrogen. And so I'm super thrilled that all three of them have in one way or another exposure to this topic that's on everybody's mind, and where everyone is thinking, who can be the next regional hub? And so we're also going to talk about Egypt as a potential regional hub for green hydrogen. What is needed? Where are we now? What are the next steps? And what are all these three players that we have on the screen? And then later we'll hear, of course, from our governor again, with the government's support. Where can, you know, this really materialize? And so maybe I'm starting off again with Engineer Yahya. So you have recently signed MOUs regarding hydrogen facilities within the Suez Economic Canal Zone. Maybe can you give us an insight what you are developing and what has attracted the private sector to look at green hydrogen specifically there? And so how do you see the opportunities, maybe medium term, for green hydrogen, in particular in areas such as the Suez Economic Canal Zone and where you are logistically located? So over to you, Engineer Yahya.
Well, thank you again, Heike. It's a very indeed important topic. Green hydrogen and green fueling facilities at the economic zone, where we're studying it right now. The green fuel, as I've mentioned, is an emerging industry, definitely to substitute conventional fuel. And I believe that the need just met the opportunity. While the impose of new environmental and economic requirements by the international organizations and to meet the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and European Union countries pledged to follow a strong decarbonization programs and so on, it was very important to look into what can we offer in Egypt and in general, and in the Suez Canal Economic Zone in particular. In Egypt, we enjoy a huge capacity of renewable energy generation at a very competitive pricing in terms of the development itself. In addition, of course, to the geographical proximity to Europe, as one of the most important consumer markets for clean energy products. With this two advantages, we looked into the economic zone and the integrated areas in the economic zone. What I mean by that is the combination of the industrial zone and the port and the logistic areas all under one management. So this gives us a good opportunity to attract the required projects and to develop a cluster within the economic zone, whether in Sukhna, at the Gulf of Suez, or at East Port Said, linked to two major ports over there to become really the hub of localizing these industries as well. While private sector investors targeted the SC zone in the last few months, the SC zone as well is likewise targeting these investors, and we have developed a number of MOUs, as you have mentioned, and I think by next 2 weeks we're going to be developing another 2 or 3 more MOUs. The objective here is to pave the way for having the right type of studies in terms of front-end engineering, financial studies, legal studies, to be able to come up with the proper business decision before COP27, to be able to portray what we are going to be offering as projects in terms of the downstream at the economic zone, or the upstream for the generation that takes place in different other locations. We are very keen to establish the first hydrogen production sector in Egypt in the economic zone within the area of Sukhna. We're talking 4 million square meters and beyond. We're going to have a number of modules with direct linkage to the tank farm in that is yet to be developed in the Sukhna port, which is under complete development right now. We have the right fundamentals, as I believe, and we are dealing with international consortiums in this field. And I'm very happy and very keen to take this into the next step, which is all governed by the private sector, and we're supporting it as it needs. And I'm very confident in the coming few months we will be announcing very clear projects that are going to be serving the whole area with its required input from this emerging industry.
Thank you, Engineer Yahya. So this sounds, a lot of it is happening, new MOUs getting signed every week. So maybe using Dalia's language, so Dalia, are the fundamentals right for green hydrogen in Egypt? I know that also your company has signed a green hydrogen MOU just a week or 2 ago. So how do you rate maybe the regional offtake market? So what are the key fundamentals for green hydrogen in Egypt to become a regional green energy hub? And maybe what other aspects must you consider to really, we're seeing other markets in the Gulf. We're seeing, of course, we're here in Morocco that also is very keen on green hydrogen, and I don't want to discourage the Moroccan development since we're here in lovely Marrakesh. But so there are others that are starting. But what gives Egypt a head start, or where do you see the fundamentals being right for Egypt. And it also doesn't say that it only can be one, but where is really the advantage of the fundamentals for Egypt on green hydrogen, and why did you with Hassan Alam Investments are looking at green hydrogen as well?
I mean, it starts with first the green, and I think it's Egypt and having the potential for really the generation evacuation of large green capacities on the green energy side. I think that's a fundamental advantage and a key factor in why Egypt is really well positioned to play a big role on the green hydrogen side. It's also, I mean, it's so that with there is the clear government strategy on the renewable energy, but also, I mean, we've been in a number of discussions. We're seeing also the clear vision and steps that are being taken to also focus on the hydrogen and go into the hydrogen. Engineer just, I mean, spoke of the Suez Canal zone and the efforts there. So it's giving some clarity that helps focus the attention. You spoke of the offtake market, and definitely, I mean, there's the location elements of it. I mean, many of the prospect of the hydrogen are focused on large export potential. So within the region and with the potential uses of the green hydrogen, you have on the Gulf side, on the Middle Eastern side, the potential offtake on the industrial side, but also you have the access to Europe, and I guess also Europe will again that from I would look at the Mediterranean kind of offtake, not just a Middle Eastern offtake, and for that Egypt is very well positioned to attract the investments, given that it has potentially the access to the resource. On top of that, I mean, it's I wouldn't leave out the local market. Egypt is a large petchem market, so there could be expansion locally for the users, but also on the uses of hydrogen as they develop. I mean, you have a number of industries that could potentially be clients for the hydrogen. So it helps also when you have potentially clear local uses, so you're not just relying 100% on the export potential. Yet the export potential is definitely key. And again, Egypt has played and has the track record of playing, of being a logistic hub for other elements of the energy, let's say value chain or energy sources, with the connectivity to Europe through the gas pipelines. You have on the power side interconnections. So following in and having the knowledge and the know-how of doing these multi-country kind of arrangements of connecting, I think is also an edge of how to build on this experience. Of course, this will take, and I think I would say I would borrow from what was said about the Suez Canal. In addition to the clear vision, I mean, you need the planning, you need definitely a clear regulatory framework. I mean, we've signed the MOUs, we can see the commitment, but then it's in the execution. The zoning, the access, I mean, the availability of infrastructure and the access to this infrastructure. I mean, you know better how complex setting even things of much smaller scale is. So, and the ramp up time it takes to put this into place. So we look forward definitely on continuing our partnership with the government of Egypt, with EBRD, with the different players, and again, this will be very big that we're all going to cooperate. I think we're going to see something similar to what happened on the FIT, where while everyone works on their project, ultimately this is a space where there'll be everyone will converge together to make it work, and we'll work together as a bigger group.
Thank you, Dalia. So yes, so it's again about partnerships. The time is right, but not just about export markets, but also domestic markets for green hydrogen that make Egypt such an exciting destination. So then maybe back to Torsten for a final comment on Scatec's renewable ambitions, also on green hydrogen, but also maybe other areas where you see for foreign investors looking at future opportunities in Egypt.
Yeah, thanks again, Heike. I mean, despite being headquartered in Norway, we actually regard Egypt almost like a home market to us. I mean, we don't really have a home market on our own for at least not for solar. So And just illustrated by that, I mean, our former and new CEO have both, I think, been in the country to meet with key partners and officials 6-7 times only the last couple of months. And we also have very strong backing from the Norwegian government to continue investing in Egypt. And I mean, one of the reasons is obviously that Egypt has one of the best natural conditions for being competitive on renewable energy. And renewable energy is not, as we know, is not just relevant for producing electricity as such, but also for converting further into other key solutions that can solve some of the challenges we have ahead of us. Desalination is mentioned by many. I mean, producing fresh water. So we're obviously looking into that. We have a partnership established with Orascom and Metito, where we've submitted a proposal to the government to develop a production capacity of 2 million cubic meters. Another example, then moving into green hydrogen, we have announced the 100 megawatt green hydrogen project together with Fertiglobe, Orascom, and the Sovereign Fund of Egypt. That's it's going to be a first of its kind of that size for being a large independently owned green hydrogen production facility. We are showcasing that in connection with the COP27 later this year. And then last but not least, where we really think there is a huge opportunity for Egypt to become a world leader is in production of green ammonia, taking hydrogen maybe one step further into ammonia, both for export, but also as a local bunkering hub for clean maritime fuel. And in this context, I mean, one of the obvious reasons is the great work that is being done in the Suez Canal Economic Zone, and I believe we were the first to sign an MOU there with the Economic Zone and the Sovereign Fund of Egypt again to develop a green ammonia plant with initial capacity of 1 million tons. So we have significant ambitions within this area. We think that the opportunities here is just huge. We need to find solutions for these hard to abate sectors like shipping. And many have said that this is many years ahead still. But the recent discussions we've had is suggesting that this can go much faster. So we are extremely enthusiastic about this, and Egypt is just perfectly placed. And in addition to shipping fuel, if you think that's too far ahead to think about, I mean, the ammonia molecule is widely used today. So whether it's green or gray, it still works the same. And with the current development now in natural gas markets, the green solution is becoming more and more competitive. So there is already a significant offtake available. And then the third kind of offtake we are looking at that is already being developed is for co-firing in thermal plants. And I'm actually going to Japan next week to discuss offtake and partnership with Japanese players for some of these project opportunities that we are looking at in Egypt and elsewhere in the region. So this is really a big opportunity, and I think we have fantastic opportunities ahead of us in Egypt, all of us.
Super, thank you so much. And I like the ambition that on a very specific topic, green ammonia, that everyone is talking about, that you think that basically Egypt can be a global world leader in this field. And we've heard now from a number of our panelists, what are the fundamentals, why are they investing, why it's right, or what the government is doing in terms of creating the environment for these critical investments that in a year of COP27 in Egypt, in Sharm el-Sheikh, are really setting the tone for the next energy transition going forward. Unfortunately, we're closely coming to an end of this exciting session, and so we will have a short video and then have time for quick questions from the audience, either online or in the room. And so over to the video. Thank you very much. And so, so for those who know me, I'm very bad with technology, but I will try my best. So you can answer, you can ask, and hopefully not answer your own questions on the Slido app, hashtag 917000, and I should see them on this lovely iPad here. But if not, please also, if you're in the room and you want to raise your hand, we also have low-key microphones, and then we can also make sure that our expert panel can hear and answer them. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. I start within the room. I think that's perfect, especially with my technology. Yes, can we have a microphone? Perfect.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm Sarah Ozio, working for NG Impact. I also posted the question on Slido, so you have it there too. So the question was about, what about the EBRD?
Could you stand up for the camera?
Yeah,
sorry, I was just told. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So the question was about, will the EBRD finance future studies in green hydrogen in Egypt? And what was the budget which the EBRD was thinking of for financing green hydrogen studies? Thank you.
Thank you. We actually, we actually already worked on a regional study for all of the southern and eastern Mediterranean countries, which came out with that indeed Egypt and Morocco are the key countries with the best potential for green hydrogen. And now we're working together and just signed an MOU with the Minister of Electricity in Egypt and the Minister of Petroleum to work on a strategy for green hydrogen for all the aspects that are needed, both on the regulatory side, but also on the next steps to really establish green hydrogen in Egypt. And in terms of our investment volume, I don't want to say the sky is the limit, but I mean, we are a very demand-driven organization. So if there are a lot of good projects, this is what we want to finance. And I think we do believe in both the domestic demand for green, for example, green ammonia, but also fertilizers that we're seeing now, but also for eventually medium term the export potential that Egypt has. So I don't want to have a number here because you know, we are depending on projects, but I think green hydrogen projects in Egypt tick for us all the boxes. So thank you. Any other questions? There's one in the room as well here, yes. I think I'm just not good with Slido. Sorry about this.
Hi, this is Walid from Matito Company. Just a question regarding...
Hi, Walid.
How are you? Question regarding the hydrogen. How do you secure the long-term off-taker to buy hydrogen? For how many years in advance?
So actually, I'm going to pass this on to my expert panel. So the question was how long sort of off-take agreements are expected for sort of green hydrogens, maybe on the sort of more global market, not if you have a domestic off-taking. So I don't know, Dalia or Torsten, if you have any guesstimates of the tenor of off-take agreement that would make sense.
I'm happy to chip in, and my perspective is at least. I mean, I think it's a very good question. Obviously, for those who have been involved in renewable projects, that's been, you know, the key to developing those, that you can project finance, and then to do that, you need to do that on the back of a long-term offtake with a fixed or at least a predictable price. So we are approaching hydrogen and ammonia, I would say, and grouping those in the same way, seeking long-term offtake. And it's obviously it's not kind of as common if you're breaking new ground with some of these people who are not used to thinking about that, at least. And I speak more for ammonia now, which I have more experience with currently. But we are seeing the players being willing to sign up to 20-25-year offtake agreements with price schemes that are more or less fixed, to put it that way, and prices that make sense currently. And I think even more so, you know, with the development we see in let's say in fossil fuels and the need for energy independency just for geopolitical reasons, I think that will be increasingly driving a willingness to secure that in that way.
Thank you, Torsten. So 25 years sounds pretty long term. So very good. But Dalia, is that sort of also your sense that this is sort of the magnitude of offtake lengths that we have to look at to make it worthwhile, or do you think it's a shorter offtake agreement would also work?
No, definitely. I mean, I think it is in this range, and it's partially also because of you, Heike. I mean, these projects are very capital intensive, and we need the tenor on the financing. So where the offtake will have to be long enough, basically, to make these feasible and bankable the projects. So I see them definitely in the 20-25 years. And as just mentioned, and it's the early indications. While I mean, especially around the money, what you're tying into commodity, but then there's at least the preliminary, in principle, understanding that this is where the kind of tenors need to go for that to work.
Thank you. I think EBRD now, given that we were so bullish, have our work cut out to come up with sort of financing solutions that work for these 25-year offtake agreements. But I think that's, of course, a challenge we were very, very happy to take on. I just hear that we are unfortunately running out of time. It's been a great discussion with Engineer Yahya, with Dalia, with Torsten. I think it was, and thank you for all the questions from the audience and your participation. A big thanks, of course, to the Egyptian government and our own governor, Dr. Rania Al-Mashad, for her guidance and really offering these partnerships across the private sector for us to really maximize impact. So a big, big, big thanks. See you all hopefully soon in Cairo next week, and see you all here for further discussions over coffee at the conference. Big thanks and a big applause to our panel. Thank you.